I believe we're having a hard time hearing Sam speak, and we are just working on technical difficulties and we'll be underway soon.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sure can.
Wow. Finally, are we on?
Yes.
We can hear you, but I don't see you.
We don't see you, Sam, but we can hear you. Good morning.
And now we see you.
Okay. Well, finally. Well, I'll start again. So good morning, everyone, from wherever you're joining us. And on behalf of my fellow Summit co-chairs, I welcome you to the Resilient California Virtual Summit. I'd first like to thank the many members of the Climate Resilient California and Californians, or CRC2, who worked tirelessly for many months to make this summit a reality. Many to name here, but I especially would like to call out the key fellow summit co-chairs. Abby Edwards, Deputy Director of Deputy Director of Climate and Planning at the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation. Deborah Gorman, President and CEO of the Green Line Institute. Jonathan Parfrey, CEO Climate Resolve. Fauna Foreman, Director, Center on Global Justice at UCSD. Tina Christie, Dean of the School of Education at UCLA. And last, but certainly not least, the man who actually conceived all of this and worked day and night more than any one of us to make this happen, Dr. Ramanathan, climate scientist at UCSD and council member of the Vatican's Pontifical Academy of Sciences and Social Sciences. My name is Sam Assefa, and I'm the director of the California Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation. Before I introduce our distinguished opening speakers, I want to start with a commemoration of the victims of the recent Los Angeles fires. And I'll ask Tina, as a resident of Los Angeles, to do the same. The communities of Altadena, Palisades, and Pasadena have long been cherished for their vibrant neighborhoods, close-knit communities, and rich histories. The devastating impact of the Eaton and Palisades fires has left an indelible mark on these areas, forever altering the lives of their residents. The loss of life is perhaps the most profound and heartbreaking consequence of these fires. Each individual who perished was a thread in the fabric of their community, partners, parents, children, teachers, artists, entrepreneurs, and friends. Their absence leaves a void that can never be filled, and their memories will forever be cherished by those who knew and loved them. I'll never forget the heartwarming stories about the Altadena community Steve Gibson told me, standing on the ashes of the property that was home to him and his family for almost a quarter century. He not only knew his immediate neighbors, but many of the families who lived in the more than 15,000 homes in Altadena for generations. More than 9,000 structures, including homes, schools, businesses, and houses of worship there were completely destroyed. Businesses, many of which were family-owned and operated for generations, have been lost, taking with them the economic vitality and unique character of these areas. So as we gather today, and also as we commemorate those who lost their lives, livelihoods, and the irreplaceable landmarks in Altadena, Palisades, and Pasadena, may the devastating fury of the LA fires and the memory of those who perished inspire us all to build communities that are better prepared for and adapting to the ever-increasing climate impacts. Now I'll pass it on to Tina to speak on behalf of LA. Tina?
Thank you, Sam. I want to reiterate the thanks you offered to our colleagues who made this summit possible, and to extend my gratitude to you as well for all that you did to get us here to these 2 days. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. I'm Tina Christie, and I have the honor of serving as Dean of the School of Education and Information Studies at UCLA. Californians have long known the devastating effects of rising temperatures, prolonged droughts, and extreme weather events. But in recent years, the impact has become ever more personal, immediate, and urgent. In recent months, we have seen wildfires tear through our landscapes and communities, consuming homes and businesses, displacing families, and taking precious lives. The scars left behind are both physical and emotional, and they are lasting. For those of us in Los Angeles, including within the UCLA community, the recent devastation hit especially close to our home. Many students, faculty, and staff had to evacuate as flames encroached on their neighborhoods. Numerous Bruins lost their homes and neighborhoods, and these neighborhoods lost too many people who called those places homes. Many of the neighbors who we lost had lived in their homes for generations and were reluctant to leave them behind, or they felt they had to protect their treasured structures with whatever resources they could. Edwin Kurland was 94 and had grown up in his home in Altadena. Erlene Louise Kelly was 83 and had lived in her home for more than 40 years. Victor Shaw, also in Altadena, used a garden hose to try to protect his home, a home that had been in his family for more than 5 decades. And tragically, some were simply unable to escape. Anthony Mitchell, for example, was a great-grandfather of 10. When his family fled, he stayed behind with his son Justin, who had cerebral palsy and could not walk, to evacuate. In Malibu, 32-year-old Rory Skies, who also had cerebral palsy and was blind, was unable to escape the flames that had consumed his cottage. Our community faces a long road to recovery. We know that rebuilding is about much more than reconstructing more than the 18,000 structures that were destroyed. It's also about healing. Many in our community, especially those who were forced to flee or who lost loved ones, as well as the firefighters who fought so hard against the flames, continue to struggle with the emotional and psychological toll of this climate catastrophe. Indeed, mental health support is an essential part of our response to this disaster. Thankfully, we are all familiar with the resilience and determination of Los Angelinos and Californians. We are up to the task. And for those who might be looking for additional evidence of this resolve, consider the incredible ways that the city came together in the immediate aftermath of the fires. Community centers organized donation hubs. Businesses were converted to resource centers. Restaurants provided nourishment. Insurance agents and other professionals volunteered their time to help folks navigate systems of assistance. The list of inspiring stories is seemingly endless. As we rebuild and heal, these stories can help honor all of those we have lost. Their lives are woven into the fabric of their communities and our city. Thankfully, we can say with certainty that their stories and the sense of community that they helped to create will endure, even as their absence is deeply felt. May their memories be a blessing, guiding us as we work toward a future that is safer, stronger, and more just for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. And those stories are just a reminder how important our gathering here is for the next 2 days. This summit is the first of several subnational summits planned as a follow-on to a climate summit held at the Vatican last May, presided by Pope Francis. As we also gather here today, our thoughts are with Pope Francis, and we extend our heartfelt wishes for his swift recovery. At that Vatican summit, a call to action was endorsed and signed by the Pope and 10 subnational leaders, including Governor Gavin Newsom. That call to action starts with the following statement, quote, "We call for the creation of a planetary call to action for climate change resilience endorsed by experts in both the sciences and social sciences, and crucially, by those in direct service to the communities of the world, including mayors and governors," end quote. The Resilience California Summit represents the first step towards realizing this vision, highlighting a profound truth. Our shared climate challenges also are opportunities to learn, collaborate across borders, and act decisively. So it's now my honor to introduce 3 distinguished local, national, and international leaders who will set the stage for our summit with their remarks. First, Chancellor of the Pontifical Academy of Sciences and Social Sciences, Cardinal Peter Kodo Apia Turkson. Cardinal Turkson previously served as the Archbishop of Cape Coast, Ghana, and was made Cardinal in 2003 by Pope John Paul II. In 2022, Pope Francis named Cardinal Turkson Chancellor of the Pontifical Academy of Sciences and Social Sciences. Next, we'll have California Natural Resources Agency Secretary and my colleague, Wade Crowfoot. Wade oversees an agency of 19,000 employees charged with protecting and managing California's diverse resources. And as a member of the governor's cabinet, he advises the governor on natural resources and environmental issues. And last but not least, the 21st president of the University of California, Dr. Michael V. Drake, who oversees UC's world-renowned system of 10 campuses, 6 academic health centers, and more than 290,000 students and 230,000 faculty and staff. So I now like to invite Cardinal Turkson to start us off. Cardinal.
Okay. Thank you, Sam. Thanks to all of you participants in this event. So, and to all participants, Honorable Governor and the Student President of the University of California, the distinguished and respected participants in this virtual summit on the well-being of our environment locally and globally, I thank you all very heartily for the time and interest that you have reserved for this occasion, for the valuable input and contributions that you will be making to this event. On behalf of the presidents and the councils of the Pontifical Academy of the Sciences and the Pontifical Academy of Social Sciences, I welcome you all to this virtual summit. On their behalf, I extend sincerest condolences to the families and friends of all the victims of the last wildfires, and peaceful rest to the victims themselves. We pray that the state corporations, insurance companies, and friends are well disposed towards them, all who sustain losses, to help them rebuild. And now also on behalf of the presidents of the 2 academies and the councils, I wish this virtual summit also great success. And so, dear participants, the Association of the Academies of the Vatican with the state of California to organize and to hold this virtual summit is kind of natural. Besides the membership of some of the local key planners of the summit in the academies of the Vatican, the church and her institutions, such as the academies we're talking about, in view of what happened to this state last January, can provide no more eloquent proof of its solidarity with, as well as its respect and love for the entire state of California, its leadership and people, as well as other climate vulnerable parts of the world, than by engaging with it in conversation about their various problems and vulnerabilities. Accordingly, and in the light of what just befell this state last January, on account, for example, also of Miami's loss of coastlines due to rising seawater, on account of residents in coastal towns and cities like Rockville Center, who are beginning now to pump water out of their basements on account of the same rising levels of seawater. Also, as a gesture of solidarity, the two academies of the Vatican wish to share their experience in this area and the itinerary that has led to the formation of the call to action of last May here in the Vatican, a call to action which also underlies this summit. So the academies have identified a carbon story which they work on consistently to heal, to cure, and in so doing to bend the curve with their different initiatives, which I now like to share with you. First, what is our carbon story, or what have we learned to tell as a carbon story? On this map, as you see, there is a tiny blue spot where England and Wales now lie, and it should slightly be moving. So that is the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in England. And it is England becoming a carbon power. And as the slide progresses, you begin to see the color spread gradually to Europe, and then to the United States, and then to Canada, and to India, to Australia, and to China, and then to Japan. Okay, so we begin to see the spread now. So that's the carbon power spreading gradually from England to Germany and France to the United States, and begin to spread in other places in Europe, and then goes to India, goes to Australia, Latin America, South Africa, and then it begins to intensify as the color changes from blue and green to yellow, and then to brown, and ultimately to red. What is striking about this is the increasing carbon power that is arising in our world. And with the rise of carbon power, also the extent and the rise of pollution, which has led to our conversation these next 2 days. So it is based on this. It's based on this experience of the rise of carbon power that the academies of the sciences and social sciences since 1983 have embraced, have begun to deal with this problem, organizing different events, initially about chemical events, and then about environmental tropical forests and the ability to deal with this situation, dealing with the science of survival, sustainable development, the approach of modern science to protecting the environment, and the different geosphere and biosphere interaction of climate there, upper jet streams and all of those. So the interactions between global change and human health. This continues. So in the subsequent years, the slide next slide, it continues with some more study about water and the environment, sustainability of the human species itself on the planet, and then the relationship between all of these and modern forms of slavery, and then the fate of mountain glaciers, melting seawater, and so on, till getting to 2013, Pope Francis gets elected as a pope, and in his first sermon in St. Peter's Square, called for the protection of both the poor and nature. And with that began a concept in his teaching called integral ecology, inviting us to recognize the interconnectedness between nature, our environment, and human person, human life itself. And so the cliche was this, that Two elements are crying to us for help. It's nature and it's the poor ones among us. Next slide. And so that goes on then to the encyclical Laudato Si, care for our common home. But in that encyclical, the Pope makes this call. I urgently appeal then for a new dialogue about how we shape in the future of our planet. We need a conversation which includes everyone, since the environmental challenge we are undergoing and its human roots concern and affect all of us. So this is a call to action that does not leave anybody out. Next slide. And it goes on and it gets the Vatican with the academies preparing to participate in the COPs and the different movements in the world, climate change and new evidence for science, trying to deal with the climate deniers and all what belongs to it in the different events. So all of that led to a big meeting that we held over here in the Vatican in 2022, inviting us to look seriously at everything that is happening to our environment in the light of sciences and all. And so that got us, next slide, to look at the event which brought this about. So last May, we held this meeting in the Vatican, from climate crisis to climate resilience. And at this meeting, we were all familiar with the normal call for mitigation and adaptation as a way of dealing with the climate crisis. But then too, a recommendation and a contribution to this came again from Professor Ramanathan and then his group from California, San Diego and all. And that's also that adaptation and mitigation by themselves cannot deal with the problem. We need also social transformation. So that formed a small cliche that we call MAST, M-A-S-T, which is presented as kind of the big solution for dealing with the climate resilience from now on. And so that's when this was adopted. And in additionally, there was a feeling that we should get this around the world, not only make it stick here in the Vatican, but then 10 countries, then 10 regions were identified around the world where we should take such action and involve not only top government officials, but local mayors, people who have power to make decisions locally to see how they can help with this. And so 10 places, we're now in California. Next, we're going to Massachusetts. Then we go to Austria. Then we come to Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. Then we go to Kenya, Nairobi, and Dakar, and then go to New Delhi, and then go to Australia, the Pacific Islands. And so, it's just a movement that we're trying to build, and we'll have a chance to talk about this later. But by way of concluding then, all of this quick itinerary that the academies have made from the carbon story and trying to improve upon it and change it, it's led to these few observations. So as you can see, our scientists have observed climate-related disasters and climate, and it reminds us that, in the words of Pope Francis, a crisis is almost always the result of self-forgetting. And the way forward comes through recalling our roots, the time to recover values, and to return to what is authentically worthwhile. Secondly, and as a data-rich scientific problem, we may also not fail to see the human faces which are hidden behind the figures and the statistics. These figures, we need to keep them always in sight because they're the ones who are hurting and suffering, and they invite us then to make their pain our own pain, and making their pain ours, be committed in our resolve to help change the situation which brings them the climate disasters and all. And finally, what each of us then can do is to work in solidarity to replan our journey, to set ourselves new rules and to discover new forms of commitment, like the MAST, mitigation, adaptation, social transformation, to shape a new vision for the future, because there is, and while there is still time to do so, and to fix the problem while we still have a little bit of time. So this is our small contribution to just encourage everybody who's participating in this summit And we wish this summit great success and await the outcome of it and its celebration in the Academy again. So thanks for your attention and for the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Cardinal Turkson. It is truly an honor to present both with you and President Drake. Again, I'm Wade Crowfoot, and I lead our California Natural Resources Agency under Governor Gavin Newsom. Influential leaders have convening power, and perhaps no leader has more power to convene the world than His Holiness the Pope. Last May, I had the honor of attending the global summit that Cardinal Turkson explained, and it was a powerful coming together of a triad of leaders. The world's most eminent climate scientists, organized through the Pontifical Academy of Sciences and the Pontifical Academy of Social Sciences. You should know that this is a 400-year-old institution founded in the time of Galileo that today brings together the brightest minds understanding the impacts of climate change. So it was scientists, it was religious leaders, of course, led by the Catholic Church, and it was governors and mayors from every populated continent in the world, including Governor Healy of Massachusetts, Governor Hochul from New York, our Governor Gavin Newsom from California, and governors and mayors from around the world. And it was a transformational convening. Scientists took 2 days to present sobering data about the intensification of the climate crisis, indicating that rapid, expansive action is needed now more than ever. Religious leaders, including Cardinal Turkson and his colleagues, reminded us that we have a specific responsibility to protect those most vulnerable to climate impacts, often whom had the least role in creating the climate crisis that we now face. And government leaders like our governors from the United States shared their commitments to taking action, and more importantly, what actions they're actually taking. Now, we know 3 things. One is the climate crisis is here and intensifying. 2, that how we confront this crisis will impact people and lives now. And 3, that we can make a difference wherever we live in the world. Now, with this group who is convened here over the next couple of days, we don't have to debate the problem. The time has passed for that. But we can learn from each other about how to more effectively confront this crisis. This next couple of days is all about rolling up sleeves together and finding out ways to increase the pace and the breadth of their action. Now, as the Cardinal pointed out, this is a regional summit, and this begins an exciting set of convenings around the world on many different continents. And that's born of the recognition that the climate crisis manifests differently in different parts of the world. We experience the climate change impacts differently than our brothers and sisters in Massachusetts or New York, or certainly Kenya or Brazil. And as a result, these regional summits is all about what we're doing in our region to protect people from the climate impacts and confront the ongoing origin or foundation of this crisis, which is, of course, carbon pollution. And we're really excited to help kick off this set of regional summits. We convene with the recognition that none of us can do this alone. And I'll speak for government. We certainly cannot achieve the change needed alone. And the next 2 days, thanks to our remarkable organizers, brings together a powerful diversity of voices from a range of sectors. Let's learn from each other. Let's take inspiration from each other. And let's together over the next couple of days build the momentum that we need across California and our region as a model to the world. Finally, I'll share this. One of my climate heroes is a climate scientist named Dr. Katharine Hayhoe. And Dr. Hayhoe tells us that we maintain hope by taking action, even in discouraging times, even when we have leaders across the world that may not be doing what they need to do. We maintain hope by taking action. And when we take action, we provide others hope, who then take action. A virtuous cycle of climate action that we so desperately need right now. So with that in mind, I'll simply say onward all together and Godspeed. We have no time to waste. Thank you very much for joining us here today, and I turn it to distinguished President Drake from our University of California system.
Thank you.
Well, good morning, and I'm honored to be here today representing the University of California. Let me first join in the somber recognition of the impacts of climate change on people across California and the world. The magnitude and the loss of and suffering in the Los Angeles wildfires remains heavy on all of our hearts. As we focus on resilience today, we are mindful of the devastating toll of the recent wildfires and other climate-related disasters in our state and around the world. Collaboration is key. It's great to see the strong collaborative work highlighted at this summit. We at the University of California are deeply grateful for our partnership with the state of California on climate change research. Our California Climate Action Grant Program is currently bringing together hundreds of university faculty and community members to create and deploy dozens of new practical solutions for climate resilience worldwide. Thank you to Wade Crowfoot for his leadership of the California Natural Resources Agency and for helping to launch this urgent global initiative of the Pontifical Academy of Sciences and Social Sciences. It is an honor to be here today, albeit virtually, alongside Cardinal Turkson. And thank you also to our summit chairs, Professor Ramanathan, Sam Assefa, Christie, Dean of the School of Education at UCLA. And I also want to thank UC San Diego Professor Fona Foreman for her great work on the university's Global Climate Leadership Council and the leadership in this summit. 10 years ago, Professor Ramanathan led a group of 50 faculty members in producing a report that was titled Bending the Curve, 10 Scalable Solutions for Carbon Neutrality and Climate Stability. The report provided a practical roadmap for addressing climate change, and it was presented at the 2015 UN Climate Conference in Paris. Out of this report came a host of inspiring work, including an undergraduate course focused on climate change solutions. With big thanks to Professor Foreman, who leads our Bending the Curve education initiative, we are so excited that we have just signed an MOU with the Los Angeles Unified School District so that the district can adopt this course. They will use it first for teacher training with plans to adapt the content for students across the district. This is a prime example of the concrete ways collaborative research in science can reach beyond the laboratory. We can and will continue to make these solutions available to real people in real communities across the state and around the world. Bending the Curve demonstrated California's leadership as a model for mitigation solutions. Today, we are excited to help launch this important work around climate resilience broadly. Despite attacks on science and policies that undermine progress, the University of California remains determined in our efforts to foster and disseminate solutions for equitable climate resilience. Higher education has a responsibility and a unique opportunity to join in this collaborative climate work. As this summit leads to other summits and gatherings around the world, I hope that higher education leaders will engage and model the focus and resolve that these efforts will require. It is not easy, but this work will make a real difference for the most vulnerable communities facing the impacts of climate change. Thank you again to our collaborators and partners here today, and to each and every one of you for your commitment and hard work. You inspire a great deal of hope for the world. Thank you, and fiat lux, let there be light.
Thank you all, and thank you for sticking with us through our technical difficulties at the beginning there. This session is now closed. Next, I'd like to introduce Vincent LaPena of the Wilton Rancheria tribe. So if you would please join our session there. Thank you so much again.